Hey y'all, I'm back with a memory planning process video, and this is from January. I did this not that long ago, actually, probably several weeks ago is when I finally got around to doing this. So I'm going to share with you my process. I am using some printables from Retro Hip Mama, her shop. I think it's Retro Hip Shop, and I'll put that down below. I'm trying out just doing memory planning for this year and trying to get caught up just to see if it's a little bit quicker rather than Project Life, and I'm going to see if I can store these easier than Project Life as well. So I'm going to try that out for this year, and then we'll see kind of how that goes. So one thing that I realized pretty quickly is that I didn't have a ton of photos for this particular week. You know, some photos you just have, or some weeks you have tons of photos, and then other weeks you don't have as many photos. So I think I had like 4 maybe, and they were all towards the end of the week. And so I'm not super particular about putting the photos in the right slot, like of the day, but I at least want it kind of like sort of in a little bit of an order, even if it's kind of scattered. So what I did was I wanted to kind of make the left-hand side just more decorative, and then I'm going to add the majority of my photos to the right side. So I stamped January 2020. I'm using Close to My Heart inks, and then I'm also using some LA Studio stamps from a while back, and I'm sure those are still available. Those are some of their most popular stamps. And now I'm just kind of looking through my little ephemera bin just to see if there's all I want to use. There's no particular theme or anything for this particular week, so I'm just going to pull some things, some colors that I like to use, and start to embellish. So at this point I decided that I wanted to do a little cluster in the top left hand corner, and so I decided at first I was going to punch a circle and add that, and then I found these other flowers and decided I liked that as well. So I still like the idea of using a couple of circles around the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the placement, and then I'll continue my process. So at this point, I wanted to do some sewing straight onto, not sewing, what am I saying? I wanted to do some typing right onto my page. For some reason, I don't know what ended up happening with that. I think my paper was having a hard time going through my typewriter, if I can remember correctly. So what I decided to do was just, well, I thought I was going to write onto the page, and I did not like that at all. So I printed or typed onto some vellum, and I'm going to add that here in just a bit. So I had pulled everything off because my idea was to type right onto the paper, and I think my paper might be a little too thick. I honestly can't remember what happened with that. Sorry. So I typed on the vellum, and I'm going to add that on. And then I'm going to continue trying to figure out where I had everything. And then I'm going to add my little journaling. And sorry, it was very sunny this particular day, and so the sun was coming through the blinds, which is where you see the glare. But luckily there's editing, so you guys don't see much of that. I had a lot of fun making this memory planning video. I like the idea of doing, so I like the happy planner stuff, but I like the idea of just kind of having the freedom to use all your different supplies, kind of like a scrapbooking page, but just more just random, and just there's not like a ton of thought behind it. And so I had a lot of fun creating this. I am just using my tape runner to adhere everything down, and then I'm just kind of adding my little clusters of embellishments around my photos. And here I had this frame that I really wanted to use, but I figured I probably needed to put some sort of like backing in it so that, because the picture doesn't fit perfectly in there. And so I'm going to add that, and I'm going to use that as kind of an anchor for one of my photos. So what's nice about printing your own memory planning pages is that you can print them non-double-sided, so the other side doesn't have the next week. I'm just going to adhere the next week back to back, if that makes sense. So the reason I say that is because I can sew right onto this page, and I don't have to worry too much about like the next week having like the opposite side of the thread showing. Same thing with like stapling. And so I haven't thought quite through if I'm going to add these into page protectors, like 8.5 by 11 page protectors, or if I'm just going to leave them as is and just punch holes, like kind of like just a regular old binder. So I'm thinking on that for right now, or I'm thinking on that for the future use, but I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to set them in a binder. I'm just doing some finishing touches, using some stickers just for my stash, and adding a few little things, and then I am going to be finished up after I get this kind of little cluster, this left-hand side done. I was looking for something to add there, and so I decided to just layer up some paper, and then I don't remember if I actually sewed that on or not, but that is pretty much it. I hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.